an Emmy-nominated comedian and director you know from Trainwreck, Orange is the New Black, and Billions. His latest comedy special, The Good Life, is streaming on Netflix. Let's take a look.
You know, when I was a kid, I always viewed my dad as larger than life. He was almost like a mythological creature, you know. I just, in a way, I sort of wanted to be my dad because he knew so much stuff. Like, he was a doctor, and in his free time, he got his law degree. Yeah. That's how much he didn't want to be a dad. He was like...
Please welcome back to the show our good friend Mike Birbiglia.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, your sixth special. It looks beautiful. You shot it at the Beacon, which is an incredible theater.
Yeah, it's cool to see it. It's an actual canvas painting behind me.
It's really gorgeous. It's very funny. And we've talked recently. I did your wonderful podcast, which I highly recommend people check out. And while we were talking one time, you pitched yourself as a guest on Day Drinking.
Yeah, I don't think, maybe I just wanted to come and drink.
But do you, be honest with yourself, do you think you'd be good at it?
Well, it's funny you should say that because you said I said, okay, maybe I could be on that. You go, you wouldn't be good at it.
Oh, yeah.
You would be bad at it because you're not good at drinking. And it's true. I suppose, yeah, at neutral, I'm a little bit drunk.
Yeah.
People, sometimes they'll see me on this show, and then in the comments they'll write, "Is he drunk?" And no, I'm totally not, haven't had anything. But one of the jokes I say in the special is people view me like I don't do a lot of drugs, and people just, like, for example, like people view me as someone who is so straight edge. I've never seen cocaine.
You've never even seen it?
I've never seen it. No, and I work in nightclubs. I mean, no one's thought, we should show it to Mike. You know what I mean? And so, but it's great because I showed this, we did a screening of the special in Los Angeles, and it was a bunch of really talented friends. It was like Zooey Deschanel and Jonathan Scott and Kristen Schaal, we're all talking about the special. And Zoe goes, "I've never seen cocaine. I didn't realize." And Jonathan goes, "I've never seen cocaine." And then Kristen Schaal goes, "I've seen cocaine." And I was like, it's a good conversation starter.
It is a good
icebreaker.
Find out who's seen it.
Yes.
This is a lot about your father, and about how he had a stroke. And I'm wondering, when you do something this personal, and you've always done stuff that's personal, and oftentimes it's about you or it's about your lovely wife and child, how does he feel? Has he seen this special that is so much about him?
He's not a fan. Okay. He just doesn't like, truthfully, he doesn't like personal comedy. So I was on the phone with him a few weeks ago. I was on the phone with him and my mom. And I go, "Yeah, Dad, so just so you know, I did this special." And he had a stroke a year ago. And I go, like, "I did this special. You can watch it, you don't have to watch it. But, it's very personal." And my dad goes, I don't like personal comedy. I was like, all right. And I didn't plan to say this, but in the moment I just go, well, you can't choose what your child's gift is. and in that moment, he laughed, and he goes, "That's true."
Well, there you go.
It was a certain type of peace that I had with my dad for the first time, where I was like, I think that's a good understanding.
That's fantastic.
I sort of saw it through in some ways through being a dad. My daughter's 10 now.
Yeah.
And I said, what if my daughter did something that I just couldn't possibly understand?
Yeah.
And how would I understand it? If she said to me, like, well, you can't choose what your daughter's gift is, I'd be like, right.
Yeah, that's very nice. I'm glad you had that breakthrough.
That's not bad.
You have a wonderful joke about how also your dad, as you established in the clip, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
You're a comedian, and your wife is a poet.
Poet, yeah.
Not to make you do material, but can you please tell people what that combines into?
My wife is a poet, I'm a comedian. Together we're a sculptor. By the way, it's a John Mulaney, our mutual friend's tag. My original joke was, I was a poet, I'm a comedian. Together we know nothing. We've read hundreds of books about leaves. We can't explain leaves that well. And John and I did a show at Largo in Los Angeles one night, and he goes, "What about you're a sculptor?" And I was like, "Oh, that's
really,
great."
really
He's
funny.
just one of the best comic minds.
Yeah, his ability to like bring a tag in is really
Yeah,
nice.
and it's like, which is precisely what the podcast of mine that you came on. It's called Working It Out. We work out jokes. That's like one of my favorite things about comedy is when you just kick around ideas with your buddies.
Do you feel like you communicate with your daughter differently than your parents communicate with you?
Oh yeah. I mean, my dad, when I was a kid, it's hard to describe to people who didn't have parents like this because my dad was like, he would shout. He was like the dad from Succession without the money. You know what I mean? He'd be like, "You're such a goddamn disappointment," And we just all became the Kendall character. Like, "I'm so sorry, Dad. We're trying to do better." And I mean, but if your parents weren't like that, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have some people come up to me, they go, "Wow, I'm so sorry that was your dad." And I'm like, "No, it's it's your life or whatever." And some people just go, "That's my dad too," and it's just like,
It's good. It's good to know that there were other dads out there.
Oh yeah,
playing that card.
It's a thing
Yeah.
for sure. And I will say, like, this special has been very connective in relation to talking to a lot of people who are in this stage of life right now, which is like, I have a child who's 10, and my dad is 84,
Yeah.
and it's the sandwich generation thing. And
You also talk about how Jen's an introvert and you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
And has that been something that's been difficult for you over the years?
Well, we don't argue the same way that my parents do. Like, if you're married to an introvert, you learn that you have to read into the silences, and then try to interpret them and maybe add words. Yeah. So like, I have to decide every day when there's silence, do I probe or do I let it lie?
Yeah.
And I asked this in the special. I asked on the whole tour. I did a 75-city tour. I asked in every city in the audience, a married couple, how long have you been married? And what do you do? What's your strategy? You probe or do you let it lie?
I go back and forth, and I find out that every time the one I picked was wrong. For that one, and I should have known it was the other one.
You should have known.
Yeah.
You should have known.
What is the feedback you got from America on this tour? What do they tell you?
Oh, it's always, I swear to God, it's always different. And I think it's the probe and let it lie. It seems like the marriages that work is 1-1.
Yeah.
That seems like that.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah.
This is very funny. You got an email offering you a part in a movie?
Yeah, so I've been working on, since the special ended, I've been acting. I've been working on my next movie. And then someone sent me the other day an offer to be in a movie of theirs.
Congratulations. It's always nice to get an offer.
Yeah, well, hold the applause until the end.
Okay.
Because the email was, "Hey, I'm a big fan. I think there's a role in my movie that only one man can play, and I truly believe that man is you." And I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And I read the log line, and it's, "When a 40-something wild child splits from her punk rock boyfriend, she gets over it the only way she knows how, by seducing a mediocre dad bod cuck of a husband, whose wife happens to be her best friend." So I don't know which role they want me for, but I wrote back and I said I'm willing to do the punk rock boyfriend if you really want me.
There you go. Also, by the time this airs, it's your birthday tomorrow.
Yes, it's my
happy birthday, my friend. It is so...
Yeah, thanks. 47 years old.
47.
I've looked 47 since I was 13.
That's great.
And so I'm just
You finally found your way. You finally grew into...
I've arrived at it.
Thanks, buddy. Congrats
Thank
on the
you.
special. It's
Thank you,
wonderful. Mike
Seth.
Birbiglia, everybody's
Thank
Good
you.
Life. Streaming now on Netflix. We'll be right back.